Hello to all the faculty, staff, and administrators at Anytown University. My name is Malik Leonard, and I'm the Chief Financial Officer at this university. Thank you for tuning into this very important and informative briefing that I prepared today to discuss the current financial state at Anytown. As many of you are aware, enrollment has declined drastically over the course of 2 to 3 years, which is reflected by smaller class sizes that many of our faculty and staff members have witnessed and have instructed. Furthermore, funding has dramatically decreased in all areas within the same time span. Until recently, we have received state funding through the form of performance funding and capital expenditures. However, since 2010, state capital funding has decreased by almost 11%. To fully disclose the importance of capital expenditures, the campus community must first be made aware of what this actually is. Capital expenditures are funding streams provided by the federal and state government to fund projects such as construction, community and state mental health programs, as well as affordable housing. This type of funding is impacted by characteristics of higher education systems such as enrollment and tuition rates. It does not directly impact the level of college affordability for our students. However, with states providing more than 12% of the capital expenditure funding, it does impact other aspects, such as the amount of resources our faculty and staff have in order to support our students and the campus community. On the other hand, the decline in enrollment and graduation rates have a direct impact on the amount of performance funding this institution receives. This performance funding is determined by the levels and rates of enrollment, retention, and graduation from our university. To receive and increase this type of funding, Anytown University has been reassessing the demographics of students that we admit into our college. Furthermore, we have increased admissions requirements in areas such as standardized test scores and grade point averages. By increasing these requirements, we have realized that we have been alienating many of the students that predominantly apply to and attend this university. Due to these regulations, retention has drastically declined as a result. Since less students are attending our university, the possibility of obtaining this funding is reduced. In addition to our university, more than 500 institutions throughout the United States have experienced a decline in enrollment, retention, and graduation over the last 18 years due to the increased emphasis on this performance funding. Furthermore, since capital funding is declining, we as a university have been unable to retain students due to a lack of resources that students need to be successful at the university, which also negatively impacts the amount of funding we receive due to performance. Many of these initiatives we, the executive board, have tried to implement to increase funding and increase enrollment have not been successful. However, we know three things for certain. 1. We no longer want to rely on governmental entities to provide us with the funding we need. 2. We do not want to alienate and discourage prospective students from applying to and enrolling in our university. And 3. We do not want to increase funding by laying off any of our current faculty and staff members. To address these issues, the following action plan will be implemented. First, we will be altering the admissions requirements that align with the performance funding policies that are currently in place at the university. Specifically, the university will no longer require the SAT and ACT as admission requirements. Furthermore, we will no longer give preference to high-achieving students compared to low-achieving students in our admissions process. This will ensure that all students from all demographic areas, socioeconomic backgrounds, and academic abilities will have the opportunity to apply and be accepted into our university. However, we will offer incentives for students who do take these standardized tests. These incentives will include preference in admittance into our honors college, as well as preference in housing options such as single rooms instead of dorming with roommates. This will give our university a competitive edge while ensuring we are upholding our values, mission, and vision of equitable access to education. This will have the intended outcome of increased enrollment and enable us to take advantage of the performance funding that the state provides to high-performing institutions of higher education, such as Anytown University. To ensure that we are not at overcapacity due to these new admissions regulations, we will put a cap on the number of students we accept, including how many students are accepted based on this incentive program and how many students are accepted that do not take advantage of this program. We will have an honors to regular admission ratio of 60 to 40%. This ratio will highlight our level of competitiveness while also emphasizing our commitment to inclusion and equity. To accomplish these goals, we will be reallocating capital expenditure funds to general operating funds, which are the funds that are used for salaries, research and development, utilities, and other supportive services. This reallocation will be used to provide higher support for the campus community, including staff, faculty, and students. These supports include increased professional development opportunities, access to technology, mental health services, and affordable housing options for lower income matriculated and prospective students. This reallocation means that the university will be postponing construction projects and decreasing the amount of funding provided to local governments to finance other capital programs. We are not a political entity, and we will not progress any political agenda to receive funding. Furthermore, this will enable the university to be more self-sufficient while investing in our current and future faculty, staff, and student body. Lastly, to increase the oversight and effective use of funds, Anytown University will be developing and implementing a funding formula to monitor the use of capital and general funds, as well as revenue acquired from tuition. In addition, we will use this formula to reallocate funding to areas that are most in need. Currently, less than 20% of states use these funding formulas to monitor funding projects for higher education. We will be part of this 20%. By taking these actions, Anytown University will accomplish the following goals. 1. Enrollment will increase due to the incentive programs and the competitive edge these incentive programs provide. The university will provide increased equitable access to education for all students, not only high-performing students and students who do not rely on financial aid to assist with their college careers. Goal number 3, more support services will be provided for all members of the campus community, which will increase learning outcomes as well as retention and graduation rates. Goal number 4, increased oversight on funding allocation will ensure that funding is being used correctly and is being used to address issues in high-need areas. Goal number 5, with increased enrollment, revenue will increase as a result. And lastly, with increased enrollment and revenue, Anytown University will be more self-sufficient and not have to rely on federal and state funding that may drastically diminish in the future. It is my hopes that the actions laid out in this action plan bring a bright and successful future for Anytown University. If any of the members of the campus community have questions or concerns, I am always available. Please feel free to contact me at malik.leonard@anytownuniversity.net if you would like to discuss matters further. Until then, be well and take care.